NFL draft has come and gone. It was kind of a unique draft, and we'll get into some of the specifics on why that was the case. But it's cliche, but we got to do it. It's draft grade season. I'll give you guys some teams. You give me your grades. This is what we do in sports media, right? There's only like baseball going on. Yeah, I know we have basketball and hockey playoffs, but like when it comes to football, we just have the draft to talk about. So we're going to give our grades. So I'm going to give you a team to start here, Stephanie. The New York Jets, a team that I hate. But I'll give you the floor here. How did they do this year in the NFL draft? What's their grade?
Starting off the first night, a lot of people were talking about how great they did. They had a bunch of picks. I gave them an A. I think that GM Joe Douglas did a great job. I think he crushed this draft. 4th overall pick, you had Sauce Gardner. Even though you saw him maybe try to avoid this stage, if you saw that, he went the wrong way, and everyone was trying to say he was avoiding the Jets just because no one wants to go there. But I do think this is a good draft class. He was a big skill player, 4th overall pick. Then they go down to 10th pick. They get a Buckeye, the best receiver in the draft, in Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. Great pick there. I like when people go for the receivers high. I think it's now the receivers league, even though it was a very big defensive class as well. But both of these two guys are seen as like top at their position as well. So they go ahead and get the best cornerback, best receiver in their respective positions. They traded back into the first round to get Florida State pass rusher Jermaine Johnson as the 26th overall pick. He was also a top 10 player in a lot of mock drafts. He was even as high as like 5. So to get him at 26 overall, that was a big snag. They also got Breece Hall, the best running back in this year's draft. A lot of people had very highly touted, maybe could have been a first rounder. Getting him in the second round looks good. And then they finished it out with Jeremy Ruckert, tight end from Ohio State. He was basically like their 5th option. But when you're loaded with weapons like you are in the Ohio State offense, he didn't get as many looks, but he can block. He's a big playmaker when needed. So many clutch receptions from him. So I love this draft. I think that the Jets killed it. I give him an A.
Man, it makes me hurt as a Patriots fan to hear that. Sauce Gardner, I saw this stat, 1,000 snaps, over 1,000 snaps as a corner at Cincinnati. 0 times did he allow a touchdown. And 1,000 snaps.
Yeah, it was a good pick.
I mean, come on. What a stud.
Yeah.
All right, Morten.
Good pick.
New Orleans Saints,
Yeah.
Mickey Loomis and the boys. How'd they do? Dennis Allen's first draft as the head coach. What's your grade?
My grade is a B, not an A like Stephanie gave the Jets, but I give them an overall grade of a B. I thought their pick in the 11th pick in the first round, they traded up to get that pick, and they took Chris Olave, very, very good wide receiver, obviously, stud at Ohio State. That's correct. And so he will really help the receiving core. You know, now they're elite, I think, with him coming in. Michael Thomas and Deontay Hardy, formerly known as Deontay Harris, who just signed a restricted free agency contract, and who, if he performs this year, he's going to ball and get a big contract. So love the first pick. They take an offensive tackle, which was a huge need for the Saints, in Trevor Penning. And he's a big mauling blindside protector, can really help. I think Ramczyk with Ryan Ramczyk there. Ramczyk can move a little bit all over the place, but they're going to use Trevor Penning as an offensive tackle. I don't want to say he's a Willie Roaf yet, Hall of Famer Willie Roaf, but he's a big mauling offensive tackle and something they really need on that blind side to protect the quarterback. The one pick I'm not crazy about, it was in the second round, the 49th pick, Alontae Taylor, cornerback, formerly a wide receiver. Big question mark here, very handsy, lots of penalties in college. So there were other people, other qualified candidates, in my opinion, on the board, and they did take him. I don't know what they see in him that maybe some of the others didn't have. So that one I have a big question mark with. In the 5th round, they take DeMarco Jackson, a linebacker. Listen, the Saints know how to evaluate linebackers. Let's face it. They've had the Dome Patrol with Pat Swilling, Sam Mills, Ricky Jackson, and Vaughn Johnson. So they know how to evaluate that position. I think that was the steal of the day. DeMarco Jackson from Appalachian State. He's kind of flew under the radar. He's extremely athletic, so I love that pick. And then in the 6th round, Jordan Jackson, defensive tackle. Great size, impressive first step explosion. Very good pick there. And so overall, pretty good draft. I don't like the second round pick in Alontae Taylor, but we shall see. All of these picks, we shall see, right? We never know. It's unrealized potential at this point, but I give the Saints an overall grade of a B.
Do you think it was wrong of them, though, to move up? I mean, I love Olave. Obviously, I think he's going to be great in the NFL, but they have minimal capital like they have in recent years. To move up to get a receiver in such a deep class, do you think that was the right move?
They wanted Chris Olave, clearly,
right.
and so I think they were afraid if they waited until their pick without trading up that he would have been off the board, and I think he would have been off the board.
He would have, yeah.
They got the player they wanted, and that's why they made that move.
Yeah, and I know that he's close to Michael Thomas. They talked about it. They've trained together at times, so I think that was a good move. It was just the capital alone. I was wondering if that was the right move to do, but
they'll find it.
Olave will go off 100%. But yeah.
Oh yeah, great pick.
So Sean Payton called it, right, Morten?
He did.
Said they need a receiver, they need a tackle. And they need corner help, and that's exactly what they did. So thank you, Sean Payton, for giving some of our listeners a little bit of intel there to make some money on ahead of the draft. So we talked about 2 good grades here to start off this segment. Stephanie, I'm going to give you the floor here on the Patriots, and I'm just going to brace myself for pain because, wow. Was Bill Belichick trolling? Was it just a troll draft? Was he having fun with us? What happened?
Who was trolling was McVay when he was watching the first round. They didn't have a pick. The Rams didn't have a selection in the first round, so they just sat back and had a watch show. Did anybody watch when they saw it? I don't know if they were mocking Belichick or what, but they were laughing at their first round pick, saying we wasted all this time watching this prospect. Strange when you could have had him at pick 104. So you really have to question that as your first round pick. It had a lot of people questioning. I don't want to question the Patriots because I know that they can get a lot of value. But
they like developing players
for the first round.
I'll criticize the Patriots. I'll call them out. I mean, it was a weird pick. The guy had a 3rd round grade. I think the Rams said that and reacted that way because they legitimately had him in that spot, ready to go.
Because it is funny.
How about that? And we wasted our time watching him thinking he'd be at 104 maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
that hurt.
Might have had a ball with that.
That hurt.
But seriously, maybe he'll be better, but definitely not a first rounder. I'm sorry, Cole Strange, out of Chattanooga for the 29th overall pick. I think that's going to be a hard one to live down after that. So that was their first round. Second round, they did make an improvement with wide receiver out of Baylor, Tyquan Thornton. He was projected to be likely a 3rd rounder. Get him in the 2nd round. And then their 4th round pick, they go with a quarterback, Bailey Zappi out of Western Kentucky. He was the first quarterback off the board that day. But he did. So he had a historic season for the Hilltoppers, 62 passing yards, passing touchdowns, and 5,987 passing yards. That's the most in a single season for FBS. But then again, it's not a Power 5 conference. So maybe a guy to back up Mac Jones, but I'm confused by the pick when you had just got Mac Jones. I can see where you want to back up, but not this year. This is not the quarterback class to do that. So I give them a D-. I don't want to fail them, but because I don't want to be schooled like later on if any of these guys are shockingly amazing, but I'm really questionable as to how they could have gotten these guys in later rounds and take them earlier on. That they didn't go for value at all, I feel like.
The Patriots draft performance reminds me, Stephanie, of your quiz performance. They went over.
Wow. Just an unnecessary shot.
I'm already burnt right now. I'm like Eli Apple on Twitter during the Super Bowl. Like I'm just burnt to a crisp.
I say that with peace and love. Peace and love.
Okay. I was trying not to get like heat from Tommy Freeze Pops, but I don't want to be schooled later on. It was probably one of the worst drafts I've seen in a while.
F.
Can we do like a D-? I just don't want to be schooled later on if anyone's like a surprising shock. But
I get it. Like you're protecting yourself. D- is basically an F. I mean, guys,
yes.
Mel Kiper gave them the lowest grade in the draft.
I definitely
out of all 32 teams. This is Bill Belichick we're talking about here. The man
That's why I
drafted
don't want
Tom
to give
Brady
an
in the
F.
6th round.
That's why I don't want to give an F, because I'm sure he knows these prospects far better than I do. So I can't say he failed, but comparatively to every other team, didn't look good at all.
All right, let's move on before I have to just quit this job altogether. Morten, Eagles. How'd they do?
On the other, total other side of the spectrum, they get an A. Great draft class. And again, when you win the national championship, your athletes are going to be drafted. That's what's happening with Georgia, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They go with Jordan Davis at defensive tackle, Georgia, stud. Very good pick. He tested with unreal athleticism at the combine. 4.7, 840 dash, 32 vertical. Broad jump 10.3. I don't think I jumped more than 8. Anyway, he's 6'6", 341 pounds at defensive tackle. The dude can move. So absolute stud there. Second pick, they go with a Nebraska center. If there's one thing Nebraska can do is produce offensive linemen, especially, remember Remington, the Remington Award? I mean, this was a great pick. He's a large man, Juergens, great anchor, plenty of ability to play the run, the pass game. So what separates him really is that balance through the contact. So I love that pick in the second round. The third pick, they go with Nakobe Dean, a linebacker from Georgia, another dense, explosive athlete, relentless play style. And he has the instincts and the communication ability to play that Mike position, that leader on the defense. And I think that's where you're going to see him and compete to get that job. Then in round 6, they go with Kyron Johnson, linebacker from Kansas, another defensive player, high level, speed and power converter, and we'll see what he can do at the Sam linebacker. So, but it's nice, goes nice and fits nice with Nakobe Dean. And then in the 6th round, again a little bit later, they took Grant Calcaterra. He's a tight end from SMU, excellent route runner. He can sell the double moves and use the hand technique on releases and above average athleticism to create that separation. So overall, Eagles filled a lot of holes. I give him an A.
I think the Eagles might have had the best draft class this year. I think that them and the Jets honestly are competing for that spot. But
loved it.
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it transpires in the season. But I think that they had a lot of good value. Like it got
studs, defensive studs, man. They really did.
Yeah,
they trade for AJ Brown, guys. I mean, that has to be a part of this conversation. He's one of the best receivers in the NFL when he's healthy, and they bring him in the mix to go on the other side of the field from that Heisman Trophy winner. They got the young quarterback there. He needs help. Jalen Hurts. He has talent. Continue to give him weapons. They build up the other side of the ball.
Yeah,
I think the Eagles might be a sneaky team to make a jump here year one. I mean, that's talent that can play right now. I think Jordan Davis is going to be the best player in this draft class.
Right, and clearly what they're looking for Cameron Juergens to be is their center of the future. That's going to be the guy snapping the ball for a long time in Philadelphia. So that was a very important pick for them to anchor that offense.
I think the Cowboys should be on high alert. They could dethrone them, I think, in the NFC East.
I agree with that.
All right, Steph, last one for you. Green Bay Packers, a team that always gets lots of criticism in the draft, yet they continue to win lots of games up there in Wisconsin. What's your grade for the Packers?
I think I saw a stat. It's been 20 years since they've taken an offensive player in the first round, and the one they did, Jordan Love. I understand Aaron Rodgers' frustration. So when they skipped out on taking receivers in the first round, they go for 2 defensive players. It was maybe immediately you think, okay, why would they do that? Why would they not give Aaron Rodgers weapons after they traded Devontae Adams? So that was the first night I did think, okay, maybe they messed up here. But they still have a lot of room for improvement on defense. And they also are good at finding guys in the second and later rounds that really step up and end up being a big value pick. So they can see the potential in guys in the draft that end up being great players. So last season, though, their defense needed a lot of improvement. Last season, they were 3rd most yards per rush last season, 4.7. So they look to a great defensive class out of Georgia. I like that who they went with. So even if it upsets Aaron Rodgers, they got Quay Walker at 22 overall, and they got Devontae Wyatt both out of Georgia. They got him at 28. I think those ended up being good picks, waiting to get a receiver in the second round, because fill that need right off the bat. And you had really good defensive prospects in the first round, and you have plenty to get in the second round when it comes to receiver. So they get wide receiver Christian Watson, and the second night he was still available. That was great. They also got Wake Forest offensive lineman Zach Tom. He could end up actually being maybe the most valuable pick in the draft, just based off of where they got him at. He just came off of a career best 92.1 pass blocking grade last season at Wake Forest. So I give the Packers a B, just because I want to wait and see. It might have been a good strategy to go for defense off the bat, but I want to see how it plays out. So I'm leaving that room for the A, but you would need to know in a few years. So I think they had a good strategy. We just have to see how it plays out.
Morten, let's head to their rival in the NFC North, your adopted second NFC team, the Detroit Lions. How'd they do?
Yeah, well, and to Stephanie's point, you just don't know how they did until you know how they did, meaning what shows up on game day, what shows up on Sunday. And so that's the case with all drafts, and all, potential, unrealized potential is what we're buying here in the draft. So I give the Lions a B, an overall grade of a B. I like their first round pick, the second pick in the draft, Aidan Hutchinson, Michigan defender. He was dominant. 14 sacks with Michigan in his last season, 16 and a half tackles for loss, 3 deflections, 2 forced fumbles. So he tested incredibly well athletically, and he's flashing like the athletic superiority on tape. So he, tape doesn't lie. He looks really good. So Aidan Hutchinson, solid pick. I know a lot of people are kind of lukewarm on him, saying he wasn't worthy of a high first round pick, but I think what you're going to see with Aidan Hutchinson is he'll be an all-pro shortly. He'll step in and make a difference as an edge rusher right away. Round 2, Jameson Williams, wide receiver from Alabama. Great speed, game changer. Great pick there. Number 12 pick in the draft. Solid pick. Any Alabama receiver that gets drafted usually performs really well because of Saban and what he does down in Tuscaloosa. So I have no problem with that pick at all. Out of the 7 draft picks that the Lions had, 5 of them on defense. They really needed to fill the need. That their big need was defense. They really needed to shore up that. They pick an edge rusher again in the second round in Josh Pascal, I think you say his name, from Kentucky. Then they go in the third round with Kirby Joseph, a safety from Illinois, and they pick a tight end there from Virginia Tech, James Mitchell. He can catch the ball. That's what they needed. They need balls in hands on the offense. So I don't have a problem with that pick again. And take in the 6th round, Malcolm Rodriguez, linebacker, Oklahoma State, and another linebacker from Jackson State, James Houston. Very athletic guys, quick guys. So they definitely filled some need there on defense with 5 out of the 7 picks going to the defense. So I give them a B. I think Detroit is on the right track. I love their head coach, obviously. I played with him in New York. He's feisty, and he's changing the culture, as I have spoken about previously in Detroit. And I think we will continue to see them improve and get closer and closer to Green Bay. And I think they are a wildcard team at the end of the season. They will make the playoffs. And I forgot one guy, sorry, a cornerback from Arizona State, Chase Lucas. Don't want to forget him in the 7th round. So actually they had 8.
You can't forget about the 7th round corner at Arizona State.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, you never know.
You just never know.
You never know. So, hey, Steph, you watched Aidan Hutchinson closely throughout his college career, obviously playing for your arch rival. Are you under the impression that he's going to be a guy that can be a star in this league? Or is he going to kind of fall into this bust category and maybe he's a little too slow? He's not as much of a gamer as we thought. What do you think about Aidan Hutchinson?
I definitely think that he will be an impact player immediately, especially on a team like the Lions. I think he's in the best position to be an impact. I don't think there's anything slowing him down. He can go right in there and make the action. But I don't want to give the Lions the credit for getting him as the second pick, because Jaguars missed out on him. It was a very late into this draft process where he fell to that second option. So they got lucky to get him as the second pick. but he's definitely a snag. I do think he's going to make a big impact. He's the real deal. He really is. I'm close to his agents. They speak highly of him as a leader, a playmaker, and everyone on his team is always a big fan of him. I think he's the type of guy that's going to be embraced even as a rookie. So I do like that pick, even though he's a Wolverine. He'll jump in there, and even staying in the Michigan space, they're going to love him there. So I think that was I really like that he ended up there, even though it was the second pick instead of the first.
Yeah, he'll sell some season tickets too. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, his jersey sales will go sky high.
Yeah, should.
All right, so recap: Jets A, Saints B, Patriots D-. I'll give them an F. Eagles A, Packers B. You said, Steph, correct?
I want to give him like a B plus.
Okay, B plus.
Or like an A. If there's something between an A- and a B plus.
Okay, we'll give him an 89. Okay, that works. And Lions B, a firm 85 for Dan.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell there. So, all right, fun draft. Quarterback thing was interesting. We'll talk about that later in the podcast.